In the 1950s, a man named John B. Calhoun created a series of experiments that shocked the world and forever changed our understanding of social behavior. Calhoun, an ethologist, wanted to study the effects of overcrowding on rat populations, and what he discovered was both fascinating and alarming. He built a rat utopia, a large enclosed space where rats had everything they needed: food, water, nesting materials, and protection from predators. It was a perfect environment, or so it seemed. This was Universe 25, and it would become a cautionary tale of societal collapse, illustrating the potential dangers of overpopulation. Initially, a small group of rats were introduced to the habitat. They had ample space and resources, and life was good. They thrived, reproducing rapidly and enjoying the abundant resources. The population grew quickly, and the rats seemed to be living in a perfect world. Calhoun called this the Strive period, where the rats established social hierarchies and norms. Social structures were formed, and the community appeared stable. But this idyllic existence wouldn't last. As the population continued to grow, the dynamics within the rat society began to shift. As the population exploded, the rats' behavior began to change in disturbing ways. Aggression, social withdrawal, and other abnormal behaviors started to emerge. The utopia was slowly transforming into a dystopia. The once thriving community began to deteriorate, and the consequences of overcrowding became painfully clear. Calhoun's experiment unfolded in 4 distinct phases, each revealing critical insights into the behavior of the rats. The first phase, as we've seen, was a period of rapid growth and social harmony. The rats thrived in their spacious environment, forming social bonds and interacting peacefully. And he called this the exploit period, a time when resources were abundant and the population grew exponentially. The second phase, known as the equilibrium phase, saw the population plateau as space became more limited and competition for resources increased. The once harmonious environment began to show signs of strain. This is when the cracks started to show. Stress behaviors became more common, and the social fabric began to fray. The third phase, the behavioral sink, was the most alarming. The rats, now living in extremely close quarters, exhibited a breakdown in social order. Aggression skyrocketed and chaos reigned. The dominant males became hyper-aggressive, attacking others without provocation. The social hierarchy collapsed. Dominant males became hyper-aggressive, attacking others without provocation. The social hierarchy collapsed, leading to widespread violence. Females, overwhelmed and stressed, neglected their young or exhibited erratic behavior. Infant mortality soared as maternal care broke down. Cannibalism, even in the presence of abundant food, became commonplace. The social order had completely disintegrated. The final phase was extinction. The population, once thriving, was now on the brink of collapse. The few offspring that were born were often malformed or exhibited bizarre antisocial behaviors. They were unable to integrate into the social structure. They lacked the social skills to mate or even defend themselves. The social fabric was irreparably damaged. The once thriving rat population was on an irreversible path to self-destruction. The experiment had revealed the dark consequences of overpopulation and social breakdown. Calhoun's experiment, though conducted on rats, has profound implications for understanding human behavior. His work revealed how environmental stressors can drastically alter social interactions and individual health. It highlights the powerful impact of stress, particularly the stress induced by overcrowding, on social dynamics and individual well-being. In cities, this stress is a daily reality for many. Think about the last time you were stuck in a crowded elevator or packed subway car. The discomfort you felt is a small-scale example of the stress experienced in urban environments. The feeling of being too close, of having your personal space invaded, triggers a primal anxiety. This reaction is deeply rooted in our biology. Now imagine that feeling amplified 1,000-fold day in and day out. The constant pressure can lead to significant mental and physical health issues. This is the reality for millions living in densely populated urban centers. The relentless exposure to stressors can erode well-being over time. The constant proximity to others, the competition for resources, the cacophony of noise, all contribute to a chronic state of stress. This environment can be overwhelming. And this stress, as Calhoun's rats demonstrated so vividly, can have devastating consequences. It can lead to breakdowns in social structures and severe health problems. We see echoes of the behavioral sink in human societies. Urban areas with high population density often struggle with higher rates of crime, violence, and social dysfunction. The anonymity of the city, while offering a degree of freedom, can also lead to isolation and loneliness. People become atomized, disconnected from their communities and support networks. Of course, humans are not rats. We have complex social structures, cultural norms, and individual agency that shape our behavior, but we cannot ignore the parallels. When we create environments that mimic the conditions of Calhoun's experiment, overcrowding, resource scarcity, social isolation, we risk unleashing similar patterns of dysfunction. Section 5. Overcrowding and mental health. The link between overcrowding and mental health is well documented. Studies have shown that people living in densely populated areas are more susceptible to anxiety, depression, and other mood disorders. The constant stimulation, noise pollution, and lack of privacy can take a toll on our psychological well-being. Moreover, overcrowding can exacerbate existing social inequalities. Lower-income communities are often disproportionately affected by overcrowding, with limited access to green spaces, quality housing, and essential services. This creates a vicious cycle where poverty, stress, and poor mental health reinforce each other. Section 6. The importance of urban planning. So what can we do? How do we avoid the fate of Calhoun's rats? One crucial step is to rethink how we design our cities. Urban planning must prioritize human well-being alongside economic development. This means creating more green spaces, parks, and recreational areas where people can escape the concrete jungle and reconnect with nature. We also need to invest in affordable housing options that provide adequate living space and prevent the kind of extreme overcrowding that breeds social dysfunction. Designing cities with a human scale, where neighborhoods foster a sense of community and belonging, is essential. Section 7. Creating better cities. Beyond urban planning, we need to make mental health services more accessible and affordable. This includes increasing funding for public mental health programs, reducing the stigma surrounding mental illness, and training healthcare providers to better recognize and address the psychological impacts of overcrowding. Equally important is fostering community engagement and social cohesion. Creating opportunities for people to connect with their neighbors, build relationships, and participate in shared activities can help combat the isolation and anonymity of urban life. Community centers, public libraries, and neighborhood events can all play a role in building stronger social fabric. Section 8. Community and connection. One of the most striking aspects of Calhoun's experiment was the breakdown of social bonds in the overcrowded environment. Rats, normally social creatures, became withdrawn, aggressive, and incapable of forming healthy relationships. This highlights the importance of social connection for both physical and mental health. In our increasingly digital world, it's easy to become isolated, retreating into virtual spaces rather than engaging with the people around us. We need to make a conscious effort to cultivate real-world connections. Join a club, volunteer in your community, strike up a conversation with a stranger. Small acts of connection can make a big difference. Section 9. The power of social support. Strong social support networks act as a buffer against stress and adversity. When we have people we can rely on, people who care about us and support our well-being, we are more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Creating a culture of support requires a collective effort. We need to be there for our friends, family, and neighbors, offering a listening ear, a helping hand, or simply a sense of shared humanity. Kindness, empathy, and compassion are not just nicety. They are essential ingredients for building healthy and resilient communities. Section 10. Lessons for the Future. John B. Calhoun's Rat Utopia, though a disturbing experiment, offers valuable lessons for the future. It serves as a stark reminder that we cannot ignore the social and psychological needs of human beings as we design our cities and shape our societies. Overcrowding, when coupled with social isolation and resource scarcity, can create a perfect storm for social breakdown. By prioritizing mental health, fostering community engagement, and creating urban environments that promote well-being, we can build a better future for ourselves and generations to come.